Have you ever heard the saying, "The road takes a piece of you"? I never believed that crap until a few weeks ago. My name's Terry, and I've been driving rigs for close to 20 years. I've seen my fair share of weird things out there, but nothing like this. It was a late-night haul down Route 46. Just me, the open road, and the hum of the truck engine. I'd driven this route 100 times, but something about that night felt off. It was dead quiet, no other vehicles around, and my CB radio crackled with nothing but static. I had a bad feeling. But you get those from time to time on the road. Shrug it off, keep driving, right? That's when I noticed the headlights behind me. I figured it was just some late-night driver catching up, but after a few minutes I realized something was wrong. The car wasn't gaining on me. In fact, it stayed at the exact same distance, just far enough that I could only make out the faint glow of the headlights in my mirrors. I slowed down, hoping they'd pass, but they didn't. The headlights matched my speed, staying behind me, never too close, never too far. I could feel my grip tightening on the wheel. I sped up, and sure enough, the car did the same. "All right, pal," I muttered, glancing nervously in the mirror. "What's your game?" I reached for the CB, thinking maybe someone else on the road had seen this guy. But the radio was dead, just static. My unease grew into something more fear, pure gut-wrenching fear. I couldn't explain why, but I knew something was wrong. I drove for another 20 miles like that, with the headlights never leaving my rearview mirror. I tried shaking them by taking an off-ramp, but they followed. Always the same distance, always matching my speed. By now, my heart was pounding. I felt trapped, like a mouse being toyed with by a cat. I glanced at my fuel gauge, half a tank left. Enough to get to the next town, maybe. But that meant at least another hour of driving. I wasn't sure I could last that long. Just as I was thinking of pulling over, the headlights disappeared. One moment they were there, and the next, the road behind me was pitch black. I let out a shaky breath, relieved but confused. I figured they must have taken another turn without me noticing. I slowed down to a more reasonable speed, my nerves still on edge, but at least the tension in my shoulders started to ease. That's when I saw him, a figure, standing in the middle of the road, about 50 yards ahead. My headlights caught him just in time. I slammed on the brakes, tires screeching, the whole rig lurching forward. The figure didn't move. He just stood there, staring right at me. I stopped inches from him. My heart was hammering in my chest as I leaned forward, squinting to get a better look. He was wearing some old, ragged clothes. Looked like a hitchhiker. But there was something wrong with his face. It looked pale. Too pale, almost. Hollow. I flicked my high beams on. And that's when he disappeared, mean he ran off or ducked out of sight. I mean, 1 second he was there, and the next, the road was empty. I stared, my brain struggling to process what had just happened. I grabbed my flashlight and climbed out of the cab, my hands trembling. The road was dead silent. Not even the crickets chirped. I walked up to where the man had stood, shining my light around. Nothing. No footprints. No sign that anyone had been there. That's when I heard it. The unmistakable sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, like someone walking on gravel. But the road was paved. I spun around, my flashlight darting across the empty stretch of highway. The footsteps were getting closer. I scrambled back to my truck, practically throwing myself into the cab. I locked the doors, my chest tight with panic. The footsteps stopped, but I didn't dare look. I jammed the truck into gear and floored it, speeding down the road like hell was chasing me. For the next hour, I didn't see another car. No headlights, no figure, nothing. Just the road stretching out in front of me, endless and empty. I finally reached a gas station on the outskirts of a small town. I pulled in, parked, and sat there for a long time, shaking. I haven't been able to explain what happened that night. But ever since, I don't drive Road 46 anymore. The road took something from me, something I'm not sure I'll ever get back. And if you're ever out there, late at night, be careful. Some things on the road aren't human, and they're always watching. If you also have any real horror stories or experiences, you can share them via this email. And don't forget to subscribe us for more creepiness.